Welcome to the brand new podcast. As always, this is the Oracle 19, and my name is Mr. Greatness. For any business inquiries, if you want to put your business on this platform, you can email us at evolutionoflondon@gmail.com. And that's the same email if you want to make a donation to the podcast as we keep expanding worldwide and free will offering. Evolutionoflondon@gmail.com via PayPal account. You can shop online to our baby shopping mall, evolutionoflondon.com. We have a whole wide range of products as men's, kids, ladies' clothes, jewelry, house products, cologne, perfume, much more. So evolutionoflondon.com. Also, evolutionoflondon.org, O-R-G, for custom clothes, accessories, and digital products as well. And finally, evolutionoflondon.store, S-T-O-R-E, for games, DVDs, and more clothes that ship throughout North America, evolutionoflondon.store. Also, check us out. We have different links to other affiliates. www.linktree.com/evolution of London. Support us that way. We have a Patreon channel, which we have videos that is not posted on YouTube, digital artwork, and we have consulting services as well. So that's Evolution of London. Remember, I keep all that in mind always, Evolution of London. But that's Patreon, www.patreon.com, Evolution of London. So there's many different ways to support us directly or indirectly. So we definitely appreciate that. And all of you listeners that are supporters, again, thank you. Like, subscribe, and share to our platforms, which I'm going to mention later on. Check out the company Royalty 9 International. They make homemade candles, 100% soy wax, 12-ounce jars, from scented to unscented. Now, the scented candles are from frankincense, myrrh, jasmine, eucalyptus, rose, just to name a few. So if you want to place an order, email the company at royalty9international@gmail.com. And they have also social media, Instagram and TikTok, Royalty 9 International, for your luxury candles over 35 plus burning hours. Again, Royalty 9 International. Mr. Will, he's been a fitness consultant for over 15 years. So if you want to book a consultation, you can email him at healthfitnessconsultant1@gmail.com. Again, that's healthfitnessconsultant1@gmail.com. And you can support his merch, www.wjaaccessories.com, for your custom clothes, accessories, and digital products as well. Music. Cheap Limousine channel on YouTube. You have a whole wide range of different beats. So once you go to his YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and share, and check out his other social media sites. And continue to train on YouTube is the Greatness 19 channel. That's our educational channel to open up your third eye. And on that same page of the Greatness 19 channel, if you scroll down, you see Mr. Evolution of London. That's our health and wellness channel. So subscribe to that, like, subscribe, and share to Mr. Evolution of London on YouTube. And this beat here, Chromatic Sound. You'll find his channel on YouTube, Chromatic Sound. CHROMATIC Sound. And that is on YouTube. Nice beat. K. Trananda, caution. Anyway, just support. Support is all about support and passing information. So definitely do it. We definitely will appreciate that. DJ Panthro, he's an international DJ, and if you want to book for him to come to your venue, email him at djpanthro519@gmail.com. That's djpanthro, Panthro 519@gmail.com. And you can also support his merch, which is links to, you'll find his links to his website on social media, Instagram, TikTok, The Real DJ Panthro. Again, that's The Real DJ Panthro. And also DJ Panthro on TikTok as well. His link is DJ Panthro, and hopefully I get this right, 519@printify.me. Hopefully I have that correct. I'm going by memory, but he is upgrading that eventually. So, but that's his link. You'll see that in his social media platforms. Also YouTube, DJ Panther 519 as well. So if you want to book for him to come to your venue, I gave you his email as he performs worldwide. Again, DJ Panther. Check out always more stuff. Kenzo World for Afro Beats. Check out his album Discovery and his single Adora. You'll find all his music on YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Music, just to name a few. And if you want to book for him to come to your venue, more Kenzo@gmail.com. Again, that's more MOOR Kenzo KEENZO@gmail.com. Again, Kenzo World. Also support Elder Tarah. His page is on YouTube, Elder Tarah, TARAH, on YouTube. Support. Let the Truth Be Told is his podcast, iHeartRadio, as well as YouTube, as he expanding, adding more content, wide range of different topics that you definitely will enjoy. Let the Truth Be Told on YouTube and iHeartRadio, because it's delicious. Now, the Oracle 19 is on all major platforms. We're on iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, Spotify for creators, Amazon Music, just to name a few. Any information I haven't mentioned will be in the description box of the Oracle 19 podcast, the Greatness 19 channel, Mr. Evolution of London, both of those on YouTube, of course. Rumble, I can't forget that, rumble.com, just type in the Oracle 19. And finally, www.oracle19radio.com. You can like, subscribe, and share to all of those major platforms. All right, well, let's get underway. Topic of today: the art of war. The art of war. And it was a book that I read, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Very good book. Recommend if you want to know learn about your enemy, learn how to deal with your enemy. This book have been around for ages. Uh, Government officials, military, just regular folks, people, especially a lot of people in the know have read this book, and it's good to have in your library. And they also have audio on you can find on YouTube that you can actually listen to, especially individuals that really don't like to read books. There are individuals that don't like to read; they find it better listening. So there's an plenty of different YouTubers that have that audio on their platform. So it's about, some of them is an hour and a half long, some is like 2 hours, 3 hours. But you scan through YouTube and listen to The Art of War, or you purchase the book. Amazon, I'm sure, have, or other platforms. But it's a good read, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And I'm not going to get in really to the history of the book per se. That's for y'all guys to search and read for yourself. I prefer y'all guys to read the book, but again, some of you like prefer to listen to audio, so it's up to you. It's up to you. Never mind what Mr. Green just said. Just, it's on you. But this is my take on the art of war. Like, it's on many different levels in terms of your enemy that you have to deal with in different facets of life, different people, different races. And it just extends to everybody, the art of war, when you're dealing with your enemy. And I talked about knowing thy enemy and stuff on previous shows years ago. But this right here, I'm the art of war, and this is my version of it. And it's up to you if you take it in and think Mr. Greatness is on point or not. I have to give you this disclosure before I give my perspective. That's why I'm giving you this introduction. But the art of war, what does it mean to you? We living in this day and time. We all have enemies or AK haters, especially if you're somebody. And we're not saying somebody in terms of being an entertainer. You could be popular in your neighborhood. You could be that guy on the job, that guy on campus and university, college. You could just be that guy. Him. Himity him. And you can have enemies. But dealing with your enemy, a lot of people, when you're dealing with war, and I give my perspective. Once I leave my house, it's a battleground. That's how I look at it. It's war season when you leave your house. How can you say that, Mr. Greatness? Anything can happen. Anybody can step to you, any different time, situation. You gotta worry about if you're gonna make it home. Now, granted, you don't sit and worry, get anxiety over that, but you have to be prepared. A lot of people take for granted when you step out your house. Technically, you're in the battlefield. You don't know who will start trouble. You don't know that. You don't know if you'll get in a fight or argument, or you don't know if you will make it home. the art of war. So you need to be better prepared. A lot of people, most people, really this will go over their head because at the end of the day, they sheeps surrounded by wolves. But in the art of war, you have to know how to deal with your enemy on all different levels. And most people, most citizens know how to deal with your enemy in one way. It's just brute force. You hit me, I hit you back. You say something to me, I say something back to you immediately. And the book of Art of War teaches you there's many ways to get to your enemy, just not one way. It's another word is yin and the yang. You come at me with force, I might have to come to you in a finesse way. Or you come into me in a finesse way, I might have to come at you hard. I'm gonna give you examples in different aspects of life. Just walk with me. We're gonna flow. Let's say, for example, when you sizing up your enemy. Your enemy might be 7 feet tall, literally. The size of, let's say, Shaquille O'Neal. I just have him in mind, just using him as an example. And you might be 5 foot nothing. Now, you have this fear naturally because he's a bigger man, most likely stronger, and you a shorter man, you might have that fear. That's a natural thing. Fear. Believe me, when you're in war, you're always going to have that fear. Even the great athletes in different sports, when they competing, is a fear to fail. Especially in football, pro football, especially if it's a big event, or baseball, which is the World Series football, the Super Bowl, basketball is the NBA championship. And I'm just using these as an example. You're going to have fear. First time at work, certain amount of fear. But when you put things in perspective about a man that have that height and strength advantage, how to defeat your enemy in that mode. You never think that a person of his size cannot be defeated. If you know about the story of David and Goliath in the Bible, Goliath had the Philistine had a clear-cut advantage in terms of size and strength. But David used finesse and used his mind, meaning that other ways to defeat. Objects he used. His fighting skills to defeat Goliath. And so it's the same thing when you're dealing with a bigger man of that caliber. Now I'm starting off with this, but then I'm a switch off with a lot of different topics in life. So this is going to be a lengthy show. So like I said, walk with me. Well, you gotta look in the where the fight is. First and foremost, if it's in the streets, everything goes. You know you're not gonna fight him head up. as part of the art of war. His advantage is his strength. You got to make your advantage speed. You got to be faster than him. Him meaning a person of Shaquille O'Neal's size. You have to be smarter than him, outwit him. If it's in the streets, there's bottles, rocks, there's objects that you must pick up. Everything goes. If he happened to grab you, there's biting, scratching, eye gauging, or not gauging, but eye gorging. I believe I have that. I said that right. Where even plain terms, you take your fingers and dig into his eye socket. Again, everything goes in the art of war. And when you know he's feeling the effects of pain, or you go for his nose if he's lifting you up in the air, or the lower part of his body is growing, might can't get that quick enough. Foot, the kneecaps, the weak points of the body. Again, you have to be quicker. Everything goes. Biting, I mentioned scratch, everything goes in a street fight. Weapons could be utilized. Everything goes. This is part of the art of war to defeat your enemy. If that's just an example you have to deal with. And also in part of art of war, you might have to run to face him another day if you know there's nothing around. In war, in battle, countries, military retreated in history to fight another day. In the art of war, don't look at it as all, just you ran and scared and stuff like that. I already established with you, fear is always in place. But the war is not over if you left and ran and gonna set something up on a different day. War never stops unless you decide to stop it, or the other party as well. Other party and you come to that agreement. But in the art of war, it don't end necessarily right away. Don't think for one time you retreat, and I call it reboot, but you can replan for another day for battle. Like if I was in the fight and let's say I got beat, I'm speaking of myself. It's not necessarily, as long as I'm not deleted out here dead, it's not necessarily over. I'm just speaking of myself, not necessarily over. Depends of the situation. It might not be over until I defeat him, until I find a way to defeat him, one way or the other. Now, I'm just giving you examples in terms of the art of war. And in the art of war, things can get very ugly. In the art of war, let's say, for example, your enemy defeated you, but their allies might to cripple them mentally. And I'm saying this real slow, so you could pick up on it. In the art of war, if you want to make your enemy feel hurt or defeat your enemy, you might deal and destroy their allies. Now, people might ask, what do you mean, Mr. Greatness? This is part of the art of war. Been going on through history. Many ways to defeat your enemy. I use the example, let's say, in the fight with Shaq. Let's say I'm just using a scenario, okay? He insulted you. And then he insulted your family. And then he defeated you in the fight. So you might want revenge. Maybe his family got to go. Now, I know this is very controversial. I'm not saying this is something I'm doing for myself, okay? Let's get that clear. But throughout history, warriors, and throughout history, some people will call things cowardly or whatever. Countries, which has been fighting for centuries, they lost fights, but they went after the allies and destroyed allies. So you destroy the allies, you're defeating your enemy on a different level. You're weakening your enemy. And then you come back, once you defeat the allies, then you slowly rehash the war again and you defeat finally your enemy. I mean, there's hundreds of different ways, and it's proven throughout history. All of your civilizations from Rome, Greece, the French, the English, US, utilize the art of war. If they couldn't directly defeat their enemy, they defeat them through propaganda. That's another big thing, causing your people to turn against you. So you being defeated from within. Now I'm gonna piggyback back to the fight, the one-on-one fight. All depends how the argument started with the bigger man and you. All depends what he said, how deep this war started or this confrontation. You have to look at it on many different facets in life before you in war with your enemy. Again, there's many different ways. I'm just, again, using this as an example. When you actually fighting against a bigger opponent, it's not necessarily you using your fists and your feet. Because in the streets, everything goes. And I just gave you examples. So we're going to keep pushing with the concepts of the art of war. When you dealing at the job, now the job is very tricky because it's what I call a cesspool of sharks, cesspool of all different races, all different backgrounds, genders, so forth. That one cesspool of sharks, different types of sharks, that's the job. Because you have all different races, all different backgrounds and genders, etc. And I call it's really a ocean of sharks at the job. And it's constructed in a way where you need to be in that ocean, meaning that you need to be at that job for the purpose of income. And this is, again, all part of the art of war here, dealing with your enemy. Obviously, you cannot fight, physically fight your enemy, because you're going to get fired, and then because you're on their property or private property, and which could be property of the enemy. So you cannot fight physically. And you can't really do a whole lot of arguing as well, because you're in the enemy's territory. And the enemy is also giving you bread to eat. So again, that could be very, very tricky. So you have to be extra cunning like them when you in the enemy's territory. Now, I'm saying this in a roundabout way because I don't want to say things outright, because that could jam me up within social media. Then people thinking I'm advocating violence and stuff, and which I'm not. I'm just giving you, the whole point of the show is giving you examples of the art of war, different directions you can go or deal with people on different levels. And again, a disclosure, handle that situation with caution and think things through, because I don't advocate violence and I don't advocate trouble. So you have to be careful. But in the art of war, when you know your enemy is trying to destroy you, it's all part of survival here and protecting yourself at the end of the day. So these are examples I'm giving you. And again, I always say handle with caution. Parental guidance is suggested, and be careful what you do. Just a disclosure. And I don't advocate violence and trickery and stuff like that. I'm just, again, giving you examples of the art of war and what people do or can do and have done throughout history. Now, let's swing back to the job. You're in enemy territory. You don't, and most people, you take it for what it is, because you're in enemy territory. The person that hired you is not, it's not about love, it's not about affection, it's about getting the job done. You in the shark's pool, you got a lot of people with different mindsets, different races, different backgrounds, etc., that don't like you just because it's you. They could be your managers, they could be your co-workers. This is part of the art of war if you really look at it, if you really, as a deep thinker. But let's continue. How to handle them. You can't fight them because you're going to get fired. You need the money. That's obvious. So how to deal with them? Now, here's number one. Wherever you work, wherever city, state, province, country you reside, at work, this is work now. You got to know the laws. The laws of the land. You have to know the employment law of where you reside. Not saying on lawyer status, just enough to know how to maneuver and your rights at the job. because when you're dealing with HR, you have to know HR, human resources. They like I would say, the police of the company, the local, federal, state government of the company. They issue the rules and regulations of the company. They also be the ones that let you go. You know, they the final coffin in terms of letting you go and giving you your last paycheck and so forth, so on. So you got to know the laws outside of the company as well as inside policies, because you deal with private entities for the most part when you're working at a job, and you need to know their laws and their regulations. For example, if they say you have to be at work at 9 o'clock in the morning and you there 8:59 every day, but then you get a letter stating that you late and you've been late, you need that proof utilizing their own law, their own regulations that they have gave you or have given you in the book or in a letter or a folder when you first started work. You need to show them that this is untrue. Do your law, your regulations. I have to be at work at 9 o'clock. I'm always here at 8:59. How can I be late? As crazy as this seems, this is part of the art of war. And war is not physical. War is not physical. A lot of people thinking war is just physical. They only look at it at one way. Like I told you in the beginning of the show, war is psychological as well, emotional, financial wars, family law wars, civil court laws, wars. When you battling somebody in court, that you're going to war with them indirectly or directly. This is example, but let's continue on the job. If you're being reprimanded, stating you've been late, and you know you've been on time, you need to keep records of when you come in. This is part of the psychological warfare on the job. We call it BS. You need to prepare. You need to know the job. You need to know the people, the enemy, and how they tick, who they are. And a lot of times who they are, what race they are, a little bit of background of them, what country they from or what city they from, will dictate a lot of how their attitude, how they will deal with you. What do I mean, Mr. Greatness? What do you mean, Mr. Greatness? Explain to me, Mr. Greatness. I shall. Here's a reality. Let's say, for example, you're a black man. We're going to get deep here. The art of war. You're a black man on the job. Let's say HR is a bunch of white supremacists. Let's just say outright they are. You can tell by how they dress, or you could tell how they act towards you. And I'm speaking if you're a black man, using it as an example. then you know that with your suspected white supremacist on the job, that is head of HR, you know, basically they got to go with the rules and regulations of the job, but you know that automatically they don't like you. This is part of knowing thy enemy, getting intel. Don't be stuck on stupid. Figuring out you at the job. This is a cesspool of sharks. And especially, giving you an example as a black man. You, let's say, dealing with suspected white supremacists, that is head of HR. You know that they don't like you automatically, but they gotta stay cool somewhat. But you know automatically they're gonna treat you, if you do something wrong, if you slip up on the job as a black man, when you have white supremacist HR or white supremacist management, you slip up, they're gonna treat you differently than they do other races or even their own white brethren. They're gonna allow certain things. Like, I'll give you an example. Going back to the time, other workers, white workers or other races, they're gonna let, if they come to work at 9:02 or maybe 9:30, they're gonna let it slide. They're gonna act like they didn't see and pay attention to the time. But you, black man, you, if you come at 9:01, you're getting reprimanded. Why? Why? Because you are their enemy. You are their enemy. Their natural born enemy when you deal with suspected white supremacists. This is part of the art of war. I'm hoping this slowly makes sense to you. This is not, and it's not physical war. It's psychological, because they got perfect hate for you. And when a man has perfect hate for another man, he tends to be biased because he don't like that person for whatever reason. Biasness meaning he will let other things slide with other people, but not necessarily you, because he don't like you. And this could be on the job, and I'm zeroing on the job for now, but I'm gonna branch off to other topics. So when you first, and I use example black man, when you first working at a job, you must size up the people around you. And you got to know that you could be attacked character-wise at any given time, because already you stereotyped as a non-intelligent man on the job. So guess what? This is war season. Mental war. Now, a lot of people say, Mr. Greatness, that's a little bit too much. Mr. Greatness, that's over the top. No, not necessarily. You are trying to be at a place where you're trying to get your money for the overall objective. And you got to go through your enemy, dealing with a suspected white supremacist, to get your bread, to get your money. So and you know he or she do not like you. So how can you continue staying at that job and still get your bread at the same time and still be sane and still make it? That's tricky. And the book actually, Art of War, teaches you indirectly and directly to deal with life. This is part of life. What part of life experiences when you got to deal with your enemy, that you're in enemy territory and he or she do not like you. See, this is part of it. And I gave you an example of as a black man. But I'm gonna get off the topic of black men for a moment and get to the life of an individual. When you're an individual out here at the job, you need to get intel, the basic intel, knowing that person, who they are, get a little bit background of them. People talk, so you can get an understanding of who they are, where they live, their attitude. People talk. People talk, and they will tell you a lot about who they are just through conversation. That's human beings. We all talk. At least a lot of us. Not all. So you size up the place. You size up the people. You see who will be cool with you and who will not be cool with you. And that's part of war. Psychological war. A lot of people don't have that military mindset. I get it. But having a military mindset is not a bad thing. People say, well, we're not in the military, Mr. Greatness. You know what? That's not how the government takes it, believe it or not. And well, that's the government, Mr. Greatness. We just working and just trying to live life and make money. Why are you making this somewhat like war? Well, life is war. Life, war goes hand in hand. And again, you looking at it on a physical. And that's the problem with most of you human beings. You looking at it on a physical level. And this is a mental war out here. And I talked about this, I think, on 3 years ago, like 4 years ago, practically, like one of my first couple of shows when I first started this podcast. I talk about mental war. See, this is why the average citizens out here can be easily defeated, easily manipulated, because they only look at war in one way. Propaganda, emotional war, financial war. You can defeat your enemy in a lot of different ways financially. Because at your job, you need the money, and your enemy knows that, and your enemy will put a lot of pressure on you and try to defeat you, try to break your manhood down, your womanhood, just your whole spirit, because he or she knows that they hold the key to your finances, to your life. So they will put pressure on you. And part of the art of war, continuing with the job, and again, I'm going to go on different other topics. This is going to be a lengthy show, like I mentioned, is when your enemy knows that you are in need of finance, you are in need of his money, they will put a lot of pressure on you because it's a way to break you down. And you notice this on the job, different jobs. Let's say you worked at different jobs. When the job, have you noticed? Just think back of places where you worked or people you talked to about their jobs. When the manager of the job. Your supervisor know that you hungry. You need the money. You need the money. They know this. Have you heard of cases where they got more, I call it bitchy with you? They 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 put more pressure on you to do the job. They ask for more out of you. Never happy, never satisfied. Have you noticed that? Because when your enemy knows, whether they manager or supervisor, and this extends to all races here, knows that you need the money. They feel they got you. You're a slave. They could tell you what to say. You're a grown adult, but they tell you you better bend, you better do extra, you better, because they know they got you. They know you need the money. And that's part of the art of war, believe it or not. It breaks you down, you know, but when they know that you don't care about the job, you have options, and they can feel that energy coming out of you. You don't care. Then your enemy gets hostile towards you. Now, my closest friends know this, how I used to roll personally over the years. I always had options when I used to work, used to work these square jobs. Management knew that I had options, and I definitely showed them indirectly, psychological warfare here, that I had options. I didn't need you. Now the outcome, excuse me, is eventual firing, letting go. I didn't care because I really had options. And I created a way for me to have multiple streams of income. Therefore, if one thing didn't work out, I had something else going on. And especially at the jobs where people didn't like me. They didn't like me. I mean, I'm cool with that because I'm a grown man. I'm not gonna allow you. I might bend a little bit, but I'm not gonna break. You're not gonna talk down to me. If I had to take time off or whatever, it had to be. I never mind what they say. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do as a man. That's just me, though. I gotta handle my business first. That's just me. My enemy, my adversary, is not gonna break me and say I better. I turn it around real quick and I tell the enemy, you better shut up and leave me alone. Or goodbye, I'm taking my day off. I got things to do. Where you going? That's none of your business. We'll say that to the CEO of the job. People that know me, they know how I get down for real, for real. You're not going to talk to me in any type of way. I carry that spirit. Part of the art of war. Now, I know the outcomes. Most outcomes, we have to depart from the job. It's what it is. But you got to be prepared for that. Not everybody is mentally prepared for that, or even financially. But again, you're a grown man, grown woman with a brain. You can create a situation. There's always loopholes to everything. Remember that. So you have to create your own space. This is part of the art of war. This book here that I'm telling you about is very powerful. It ev- Daily things in your life is applicable. Being preparing for war is you preparing just in case you have to depart from a location. Learning to survival, different ways to survive. The art of war teaches you that. That's why it's such a good book. Military people, everyday people all over the world have read this book. And it's applicable to everyday life, not only warfare, physical warfare, I should say, mental, emotional, financial. It extends, it's very deep. It's a deep book if you take time to read it and process it. Matter of fact, I got to read this book again because it's been so long I have read that. I need to read it over. I think I read this one. Yeah, I read this decades ago. I have the book. I'm looking at it now, and I'm going to get back to rereading this book because as a refresher course. Or I could do the lazy way audio. Nowadays, I got the audio, but I like to read. So, continue on the job. One of I'm really taking this slow, walking slow with this. On the job is, and I was talking about myself, but I'm extending to just everyday life on the job, is knowing the people. Part of knowing the people, how they tick, because they want to know how you tick, what you do. Part of the art of war is you don't give all your personal details to your enemy, telling them the ins and outs. What do I mean? People ask you, so what you did during the weekend? You know, you're not gonna say, tell people, hey, give the ins and outs of what you did and when you did it and how and why. You keep it simple. Just a good weekend, relax, kick back with the family. That's it. No need to talk about what family member you hung out, where did you go, how long you stayed, where you traveled to. And sometimes you want to just say things, throw it out there because just to see how people react to it. It's like throwing a piece of meat in an ocean of piranhas. Just let them chew on it. What do I mean by that? You see, well, I can't give all of my information on this show, which I won't. I only tell that to private people, but you don't let your enemy know everything how you move because then they will know how you tick and they will use that against you. People ask you again, how was your weekend? You keep it very basic, very smooth. But if you start getting into details about your life, then they know how to deal with you. I'm very unpredictable. You don't know how I will move. I might move, and that's how I deal with life and my enemy. You don't really know. I'm a very unpredictable person. You don't know, like I said, my movements. You might think I'm coming one way, and you absolutely think I'm just going to do one way. You believe that. I put it out there for you, and then I do something totally different. That's part of the art of war. Illusions. They say deceptions. But when you're dealing with your enemy, especially on the job, just like you in one big illusion, which is this job, because They tell you, oh, everybody like each other, it's love, love, love. That's an illusion. One big illusion. Is you just you in a cesspool of snakes and sharks. And you just trying to get your money. So all this illusion about loving each other, that's illusion. So I'm not going to be all up and honest with you when I know I'm in a house of illusions and deceptions, aka the job. I'm just there to work to make money and then bounce. At the end of the day, don't be deceived by people just smiling at you and they say they like you. Not necessarily true. They just smile because that's just their mechanism so they keep the peace with you. And then you got people that they walk by you and they don't say hi to you. They just outright don't like you. It's again, we're in a cesspool of snakes and sharks at the job. So you have to tread waters lightly. Know the laws outside of the place of business. So if you have to take the company to court, you know the laws outside of the workplace as well as the laws that's been issued to you through their manuals, company manuals. You have to know the playbook. You have to know how far you can go, who you can talk to, who you can't talk to, which is pretty much hardly nobody. And I put a quote on that one. So that's an example on the job. Let's go, for example, your neighborhood. You might be, depending on who you are, you might can't be in that neighborhood. And I go right back to, as a black person, male especially. Let's say you in a location where you're with a bunch of suspected white supremacists. Going right back to that again. Part of the art of war. You in enemy territories in your neighborhood. You not like this. So how are you going to deal with that scenario? You have to, and maybe you didn't realize the neighborhood until you bought the home and now you live there. But that is something that you have to, or should have, did more intel of. Survey the area, the people, Google the demographics. You have to do a little bit more intel before you commit to that area, because now you're in the area of suspected white supremacists. Now you won't have peace. You can't even go in your own neighborhood without somebody calling the cops or somebody saying something to you. How would you handle that? What would you say? You already committed to the area. What you going to do? Well, guess what? Now you in it. Well, first and foremost, while you there, hopefully you were able to relocate if you had to, if it was just that bad. I know many of black folks moved to areas where they didn't realize the suspected white supremacists, and I remember a story of a lady told me she moved in a certain part of town where she dealt with suspected white supremacists, and they used to, spray paint, her property with different words, and say things to her children and so forth. What did she do? What can you do? Now, here's the thing. Unfortunately, she didn't have like a man in her life, so it's just her and her son. So she had to deal with that. That makes a big difference as well. But she did complain and fight and stuff like that. I was telling her, when you know you're in enemy territories and you could be defeated easily in her situation, and she wanted to stick around and fight it, but I told her you need to relocate ASAP, because you losing the battle and you're not going to win. You're surrounded by enemies and you don't have no allies to protect you. It's just you and your son, and you're not going to win. You need to relocate or you will be defeated many different ways. So that's part of intel, knowing the area to the best of your ability before you even relocate or locate to that area or live in that area, I should say. And if you know you already committed and surrounded by enemies, retreat, retreat and relocate. And then you could fight from your new location, whatever you need to do. And she did fight back by writing to local city hall and threatening to put on the news and mention certain people in the old area. And I think that helped her situation. But I'm not going to get into her situation in depth. That's just an example of in the art of war that sometimes you got to retreat from your enemy to live another day. And that could extend to other races too. If you're in a neighborhood where you're not welcome, that could apply to you too. Let's say, for example, you at a university or a college, another cesspool of sharks, all different backgrounds, all different races. What can you do? Let's say, for example, you at university. I give you an example. My first time I went to university, and it's a white school I was attending, and pretty much the first week I go to the bathroom and I see the N word, and all ends go home type of thing. White school, mind you. So I didn't know the temperature of the university, but I immediately knew that okay, is majority white people in this school. So let me latch on to some black folks out here so we can have allies, common allies on the front. So just in case things go down, we can band together. So I joined the black organizations that was on campus. And that helped convey, get me throughout that helped navigate for me to be at the university. A very good university. I'm not going to get into the details of what school I went to. It's not that type of party, but I enjoyed it and it worked out. And plus, I'm into self-defense anyway. martial arts. So I'm always in prepared mode to the best of my ability. Join the rifle club, learn how to shoot, you know, practice martial arts, just in case. And not because of just them. I just preparing for anything and still enjoy the university lifestyle. But in the back of my mind, even to that time, the art of war is real. So I always wanted to stay ready. So I had that mentality. So I was already in war mode anyway. So the transition for university life was easy to even handle suspected white supremacists and most majority all white school. You have to prepare, and especially as a black man out here, as I touched base about that previously, a little while ago. When you out here in these streets, there's no love. Now, we're not talking about individual love from different individual races. Oh no, we're not talking about individual. We're talking about collectively. Collectively. Collectively, black men especially. There's no love for you. There's no love for no races for you. People could come up to you, what's up, bro? What's up, man? All of that. Want to do the dap, want to do the Harlem Shake with you, and the Dougie with you, and all of this other foolishness with you. But at the end of the day, they still think low of you. And how you gonna convey over that? How you gonna deal with that, black man? Especially when you are the natural born. Well, let me put it like this: the suspected white supremacists are your enemy, but other races, including them, do not have respect for you, and they think of you as trash. And I talked about this on many shows. And again, not an individual thing, not your individual white friend of yours, not your individual Asian friend of yours, not the individual Indian or Middle Eastern or Spanish or Spaniard, etc. We talking about collectively. Their people collectively do not have respect for you, black men. You are scum to them. They hate you. They think low of you. You are their enemy, and it should be vice versa. And this is dangerous when you out here in these streets, black man, and you don't think your enemy is waiting for your demise. And see, your enemy is coming at you at every angle. And he uses the suspected white supremacists, use their allies, which is these other sub races, to issue their hate, their perfect hate and displeasure for you by trying to break down your manhood every day in every walk of life, whether it's at your job, at the university, your neighborhood. You're getting somebody or someone trying to break down your manhood. What do you mean, Mr. Greatness? Look when you watch TV. If you don't know this, let's break this down. This is part of art of war. Propaganda. Let's start with that. Propaganda. The suspected white supremacists. What do they put out here of the black man, the stereotype of a black man? From the past leading to this day. He's a great entertainer, have babies all over the place, dumb, can't have no leadership skills. This is all put in the pot of the propaganda that is already put out worldwide of you, black man. This is part of the art of war. Many people won't believe that, don't want to admit to that, but it is what it is. When you watch TV, what is the stereotype? And other races cannot deny that. I talk to other races about that. That propaganda, that's the art of war. To break down black men, to only say he's only one type of thing, an entertainer, but not intelligent. You are rated the lowest of the planet Earth in terms of what people feel about you. How can I say this, Mr. Greatness? Give you an example. Love to give you an example. I talked about this before. You take four people, and this is a lesson for all of you individuals to think on this. I mention this to a lot of people in the personal life, but to my audience, this might be the first time for you. You have four individuals. They all on the same height, same education, live in the same area, background the same everything. College grads, everything. Just the difference is their color. One black man, one white man, one Indian man, one Asian man. Four people. Out of those four individuals, name me three that you believe are lawyers and one that is a drug dealer. First thing pop in your mind, black man, drug dealer. And if you don't think that, if you saying, oh, Asian man or Indian man or white man, you're a goddamn liar. Because, and I repeat it again, you got four individuals, same background, same status, everything, educational background. White man, black man, Asian man, Indian man. Out of those four, give me three that you think, if I said, name me three lawyers out of that group, who most likely will be the three lawyers and who most likely will be the drug dealer? I'm going to pause on that. You think about that. I even turned the music off. Give me the one that most likely will be the drug dealer. What race they will be. Give me most likely the three lawyers, what race they will be, most likely. Sit on that. If you don't say, if you know what it is, because I know what it is. This is the reality. This is the reality. That's the art of war via propaganda. And that is to defame and destroy the black man from within and destroy his family indirectly. Because if that's what society really believes, then naturally it's going to spill over to his own black woman. And she's going to believe it because it's a higher entity that is saying it. So she's going to believe it. This is part of conditioning. This is why Part of the reason why is friction within the black community. Part of the art of war, propaganda, to split nations, to split a race of people. That's why I should say, to split a race of people. Now, people will ask me, why, Mr. Greatness? Why is it black man, black woman? Why is that targeted? Why are the suspected white supremacists targeting them? Because, and it was another gentleman from a different race asked me that question. Because suspected white supremacists are inferior, feel inferior to the black man, black woman, for the true accomplishments throughout history, even up to now, that they do. If you got to put propaganda out off of another person, another race, and you constantly got to talk about it or try to destroy or defame their character, I put it that way, then you feel inferior. Like, for example, I'm going to talk about me. If I feel that if I'm not thinking about let's say you, totally, I'm not going to disrespect you and just call you out and put your name and talk about your family on social media. I don't need to bother with you because I feel I'm better than you anyway, or I feel that I have a life anyway. Why would I put propaganda about you? I don't care about you. But if I do care about you or I feel threatened, I'm gonna put and I'm weak-minded. I'm gonna put things out there because I want to keep that particular race down or keep that individual down and cause mischief within his family. Because I know if that particular person ever and their family gets their mind right, they be able to challenge me and take over what I got. This is the mindset of a suspected white supremacist, part of the art of war, my personal opinion. And it's actually bigger than my personal opinion because it's factual, because it's out here. It's happening in real time, even in this day and time. We're not even talking about 400 years ago. We ain't even talking about now. Now, like yesterday. Now, like tomorrow. The way suspected white supremacists are. Give you an example. Another example. And this, again, part of the art of war, propaganda train here. All right. Let's say, for example, you put it out there that black people, black man is scum of the earth. Scum of the earth, the worst of worst. Right? The worst of worst. Okay, you can't change him. He's just a degenerate by nature. Say the white supremacist put out there, and let's say, for example, that's right. He's black man's a degenerate. It's the worst of worst. There's no saving him. Why in the world do you want to travel and be around a degenerate man? Hang out with, want to experience, get the black experience. You want to go to the islands where black people live. You want to hang out where black people live in the islands. Taste their food and taste their culture. Or excuse me, indulge in their culture. Taste their food and listen to their music. You want to travel to the African continent and hang out and deal with the black man, experience his experience. You still need him. You have a love and hate for him. That's a psychological deficiency in the suspected white supremacist part. You still want him to be around you, even though you might say, no, that's true. Go back to Africa. Here's the art of war, the propaganda train that I mentioned. Let's say all black people go back to Africa. Okay? Let's say in reality, we give them what they want. We all go back to Africa. So no more entertainment or no more everything. You have the United States of America all white. Guarantee you still will find your way to go to the islands. If you got this much hate, okay, and you think so low of the black man, so low of him, okay, I got it. You still find your way to still want to be around him. You still find a way to want to be going to the islands to deal with him and his woman. You still want to find your way to go to South America, Central America, Africa, where black people reside. You still want to find your way to go to Brazil or Belize or whatever. You still want to find your way to be around black people, black men, especially, and his culture and his lifestyle and his woman. This is for the suspected white supremacists. They got a love and hate. It's a psychological defect that they have. This is why you have the art of war on how to deal with your suspected white supremacist as a black man or black woman. See, so this is retarded. Not retarded, but tarded. With a capital T. I'm just putting it in perspective. Trying to keep it very basic. And you, as a black man, have to deal with this enemy that has a mental defect, a love and hate for you. They don't know if they're hot or cold. So this right here, you have to know how to deal with this cave-like beast of the field. With this, when you talk about the suspected white supremacists. And again, I'm not talking about you individual white people that got love for the black experience, a respect because you got a black friend. We're not talking about you as an individual. So don't get super sensitive. I'm omitting you from that conversation because you love the black experience. You bathe in it. You got no problem with it. This is not dealing with you. This is dealing with your brethren that are suspected white supremacists. So you have to know how to deal with your enemy, black man, your suspected white supremacists that have this mindset, this sickness. And part of it is you cannot, if you know they suspected white supremacists and it's not job related or business related, you cannot hang out with these suspected white supremacists. Be their friend, allow them come to your home, because they're only going to cause mischief and problems, these suspected white supremacists. They're going to befriend you for many, many years, and all of a sudden wake up in the morning and have the N-word coming out their mouth. It don't even have to be many years. It could be 1 year, it could be many months. But you open the door, black man, and allow them to come around you, hang around you. So they figured they could talk any type of thing. It's a saying that my mother, old Southern saying, you play with a puppy, he will lick you. Just using that as an example. You play with a puppy, he will lick you. You play with a white supremacist, you're going to get your feelings hurt. Emotional war. When you're dealing with the suspected white supremacists, emotional wars. Many ways to defeat your enemy. Your enemy knows that too. They to defeat you, they could defeat you emotionally, financially, through propaganda. Propaganda is very big. You don't have to fight a person. You could just defame their name and break up their whole family. Their own. You could break up generations by putting up propaganda. Bad propaganda that can defeat your adversary for over 100 years. They can affect their generations. That's why the black community is fractured, because through generations of propaganda from the days of slavery leading up to now. See, the thing about it, I don't even have to go back, because some people say, well, you know, in slavery, you talking about slavery 400 years ago. That, Mr. Grayson, that's 400 years ago. Let's talk about now. That propaganda is deep. Commercials that you see give you commercials. You see commercials such as, and this is part of the art of war, black man, white woman. And right then and there, propaganda train rolls around you, people thinking that, A, the black man, or just all black men have some fixation for the snowflake, the snow bunny. And then also on the flip side, the propaganda train rolls around. White women think that black men, you know, they the best thing for a black man. That the black man can't do no better but do them. And a lot of times you get that from the white supremacist Beckies. They just get, you know, have a black man because they want some of that, what the great Tariq Nasheed would say, some of that soul pole. And they think that they that black man, they built the black man. He needs me. He can't do no better. And a lot of these white women carry that. That's propaganda as well. Black man, you don't let a white woman, like, you with her, she has that mental advantage over you. You don't let no woman have that advantage over you. And definitely what, you're not gonna have a white woman. What was the point of you even jumping ship to a different race? And you have a white woman acting like, you know, you need her. You the best thing. She built you. Fuck out of here. A white woman could be coming to me thinking she built me. You crazy? No. But I'm a different type of dude anyway. Not gonna let any woman think they made me or built me. But I'm definitely not gonna have no other race feeling that way and coming to me in that direction. But through the propaganda the training, I should say, part of the art of war, is put out here that the black man, when he's with a white woman, he needs her. She's building him up. And they carry that. Is it all white women? Of course not. Never was speaking alls, but a lot. See, propaganda train rolls around. When you meet a black man, are you taking him as being an intelligent man, like how, or potentially intelligent man, or are you looking at him as just being a great dancer, a party person first? What say you? See, these is a part of the art of war, propaganda train. I should say propaganda training. How you see black men. Very deep stuff. Very deep stuff. You got to know the playing field where you reside and who you with and who you dealing with. The art of war don't even extend not only with different races. The art of war deals with your own race, your own group of people all over the land. Give you an example. Northern Italians have a beef with Southern Italians throughout history. I know that's just random. Why? Because if you go back in history, Northern Italians was white looking, whereas Southern Italians, because it's right next to North Africa, black people from North Africa migrated over the years to the southern part of Italy, and the people in southern Italy is a little darker in complexion than northern Italians. So that was the beef right there. Again, nobody wants to be black, right? Same thing with India. Northern Indians is like a little shade lighter than the Southern Indians. A lot of the Southern Indians is very dark. Again, nobody wants to be black. So propaganda train roams around even those countries. Let's say in terms of all the Asians, the group of Asians that is considered the low scale of Asians are your Filipinos, Vietnamese, because they are darker shade than your Chinese, Japanese. Again, because they have a little black in them. Propaganda. The lowest grade of Asians. Again, nobody wants to be black. And the history with that runs deep. Filipinos is much Asian than Asians in China, per se. But they looked upon differently. By the Chinese look at the Filipinos a lot differently, as they look at the Vietnamese people much differently. It's just how it is. The art of war, the propaganda. Am I off? Maybe Mr. Greatness is off. Maybe Mr. Greatness is off. I mean, hey, I'm not perfect, but giving you my perspective, but it's not even my perspective. This is factual stuff that you see in life. Extend with races. Different races experience different things among their own tribe. conflict with other nations among their people and how they have to deal with it. Same situations here in North America, just with a little different twist. Not as maybe uh, popular as is the white and black issues in North America. But you still need to know thy enemy, whoever you are, and know how to deal with him. You might have to deal with him through finesse. You might have to use the power of your pen. You might not. You might need to know the laws of the land so you can exercise your power. And you might not have the military power. Of course not. You're an individual. But you have to use the powers that you have. Now, let's talk about in terms of just individuals. Let's say, for example, you are a big guy. You have to know your capabilities. You know that you are not fast, so you have to be strong. You have to be able to, if you can reach and grab a person, you're able to defeat them up close using your brute strength. Using your brute strength because you're not fast, so you have to use strength. So you know the weakness. Everybody have a strength and weakness. Your strength is your strength, your power, your physical power. Your weakness is lack of speed. So you have to utilize that, your strength. Let's say you are a fat dude. You fat. You know you can't move fast. So you also have to have the strength, the power to be able to, once you grab that individual, you could subdue that individual. That's part of the art of war, knowing your strength and weakness. The weakness is you don't have the endurance. So after a few moves, you're going to be out of breath. You out of shape. So if somebody hits you, you will feel it more because you are heavy. So again, you have to know your strength and weaknesses to deal with your opponent. Let's say, for example, you're skinny. You have to be fast. And you have to hit with precision when you're dealing with your opponent. The vital areas, you got to work on the vital areas of your opponent because you know you can't use your strength because you don't have enough strength. You just got to be fast and wiry and hit with precision when you're dealing with your enemy. Everybody has strength and weaknesses. If you're skinny, you know if you take a blow, that might hurt you more than a bigger person. Say you're a short person. When you're dealing with your enemy, most of your enemies are going to be taller than you, so you cannot hit them high. You also got to be fast. But depending who you are, your body type, you like short and let's say skinny, you have to be fast, wiry, hit people with precision. If you're medium built, you still have to be fast, but you can hit a little bit with more power. But still, your power punches have to be in vital areas to be effective because you can't reach a person most likely hitting them above their face, above their shoulder. So it's body punches. but you got to make your precision, your hits strong enough to defeat your enemy. And if you, let's say, short but like stocky, like let's say Mike Tyson short in boxing, let's say at 5'10", but he fights guys like 6'5" and 6'7", is body shots. That's why you see him go in. And he's powerful enough where he can knock you out at one point, I should say, knock you out with either hand, because he's strong enough and he hits you with the body shots. But part of his weakness is being he's a shorter fighter. If you a taller fighter and you're a skilled fighter, you know how to jab and keep him away. Like, for example, a guy like Lennox Lewis beating Tyson, he used his jab, and his jab he had sharp, well, good punches with his jab. And Larry Holmes, when on his prime, he was a very good jab fighter. I think Larry Holmes in his prime would have gave Tyson a hard time because jab. This is something that even Evander Holyfield when he fought him. But Evander Holyfield's a brawler too, but he used jabs keep Tyson away, and he had punching power behind that. But again, we're just getting into boxing a little bit, but again, it pertains to the art of war. You got to know who you are, your size. Use your strengths to mask your weaknesses. And if you, let's say, for example, get away from the fighting, you got to know your skills. You might be a great talker, so you know how to convey a situation or get out of a situation through your mouthpiece. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. You might be a great writer, so you're able to write to get your point across. If you have your character be in question, put it like that. This is part of the art of war. I could go on and on. Again, I told you this would be a long, lengthy show, more than usual. But this is something that I want y'all guys to know, and this is part of learning thyself, is to sharpen up your skills, your strengths, to mask your weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. Again, if you are to add on this, if you're an elderly man, you know you don't have the speed to fight younger people. So what that means, you have to have punching power. Because if you was in a fight with a younger person, he has more stamina than you, and you're not going to win on stamina. What you have to do is have your strength and be very powerful, where you can knock that person out with a couple of shots, because you only have like 2 shots in you. After your 2 or 3 shots, you tired, you need a nap. And if you're not careful, you will get a nap on the other end. That person will knock you out for real, and you'll get a long nap. Maybe a permanent nap if you're not careful. So you know, as an older person, you cannot fight a younger person head up. So you need to be strong enough, powerful enough, which a couple shots, body blows, or a shot to the face will absolutely knock that guy out. You only got 2 shots, remember, as an elderly person. And if you have that God damn it on you, you better make sure you have a strong index finger. As long as your index finger is strong, and you have a decent strength, your wrist is strong or decent, you can handle your business. That's just saying. Now, if you're a woman, you're dealing with, let's say, a man, and he's more powerful. We know that men is more naturally stronger than women in the most cases. We're not talking about your professional MMA females and your boxers or your athletes. These are super women. I don't know where they come from the planet Zoo or whatever. These, but they accepted to the rules, So we're not talking about them. We're just talking about average women out here. You know that man is stronger than you. What that means, how to defeat your enemy. If you up against your enemy and he's a man, you have to learn martial arts. Not you don't have to be Miss Bruce Lee here. I was gonna say Bruce Leroy, but I'm thinking about the movie Last Dragon. Don't mind me. But you have to know, you have to hit vital areas, and you might have to always have things in your bag. Put it like that. And not necessarily, gun or knife. Other things in your bag, and that ties into if you're in the streets. You a regular citizen out here. I put it like this: a regular citizen. Regular citizen, you might can't have, the guns and knives and stuff like that because again, it's illegal, right? So I got that, but it doesn't stop having other things on your persons if need to be. It's case by case. I'm not saying you should. You just have to know your situation. Again, it goes with the art of war, where you live, what you up against. If you're in a bad neighborhood, you might need things more so than a person in a good neighborhood. People carry different things, sticks and stones, literally. It's called guerrilla warfare. Throughout history, in a lot of third world countries overthrowing their government, sticks and stones. The government had the military and all of this stuff, but they was overthrown. How? Because a group of people that was fearless had sticks and stones, and you utilize guerrilla warfare. You exercise guerrilla warfare, knowing your enemy, your area, what you can and cannot do. Strategic planning. Again, knowing your situation, knowing your surroundings, wherever you at, whoever you are. This is how you will be strong in the art of war. Being strong in the art of war is very important for your survival in this day and time. Thank you for listening.